Hey friends, I was actually off the road last weekend, so we're still dropping an unreleased set, but stay tuned afterwards because I'm going to be answering some of your questions from the internet. And if you have other questions that I don't get to, you can drop them in the comments. And if you have any questions at all, just keep being cool to each other. See you in a bit.
I've also been obsessing over that lady on TikTok who was digging in her yard and found that rug. Like, in case you didn't see this, there's a woman that was on TikTok, right? And this will be important later, but she's white, all right? And basically, she was making TikToks for like her fans and her friends and stuff. And in one of her TikToks, she comes onto the TikTok and she's like, y'all, I think my house is haunted. Okay? And then she starts giving her reason, and she does a little tour of her office where all these things are moved that aren't supposed to be moved. She's like, I'm the only one that comes in here, and this is here, and it's usually up here, and then this is moved over here. And then when I opened my laptop, the laptop was like cracked from the inside. Like it just, and you could see it. It was like corrupt, like it looked like ink had been spilled. It was so shattered on the inside, right? And she was like, I don't know. I think I have a ghost. And in my head, I'm watching this, and I'm just sort of pulling from life experience. I'm just kind of like, you ain't ever been robbed before? Like, and so then, another TikTok she makes after that is she's digging in her yard. I think they're moving a fence or something, and then they hit something, and then they look at what they hit, and it's like this rug that's been buried underground, right? And it's a thick rug too. And then she's like, making a TikTok being like, isn't this weird? And I was like, that's a body. That's clearly a body, okay? And then this is the thing. When it comes to every person has different speeds that they operate at, right? You catch them on one day, they might react to you a certain way, another day a certain way. But some people do have like defaults, right? So one thing that's happened in the last like 4 years especially is that anytime a white woman's talking, we jump to Karen pretty quick, right? Like, there's Karens out there, but then sometimes someone will just have a menu and be like, does this one have gluten? And we're like, Karen! Like, that's... It's appropriate when it's appropriate, it's not appropriate when it's not appropriate, right? But for everything, there is its opposite, okay? And I think that for us, we do need to start talking about the complete opposite, because we all know this person. We all know the white woman who doesn't want to make a big deal out of anything. We've all met this person. She could literally be on fire. And she's like, y'all, I'm just warm. Like, no. You are in danger, Bethany. Let us help you. You know what I mean? Like, she could call you. She could call you in the middle of a robbery. She's at the bodega. It's getting robbed right now. And she calling you being like, oh, no, I don't want to bother her. Just if you get around to dialing those, like, 3 numbers, it would be really helpful. And this is who we have on our hands in this situation, because I'm not the only one, right? I see the thing and I'm like, that's a body. And then everyone else in the comments is like, girl, that's a body. And this is the thing about internet comments in general, right? At best, almost all the time, random comments on the internet are at least not helpful. They're at least not doing anything for you when you read them, or when you posted them, they're not actually good feedback. Yeah, I mean, like, it happens a lot, especially because the internet's just out for everybody, Especially on a place like TikTok. People stumble onto your stuff and then they just comment on it, whatever they think. It might have nothing to do with what you're talking about, Like, as an example, years ago, I bought some nunchucks. And I was watching a tutorial on how to nunchuck. And the dude tutorial was good. He wasn't hitting himself at all. He knew exactly what he was doing, right? But then I went down to the comments to see if it was as helpful to other people as it was to me. And none of the comments had anything to do with nunchuck. The top comment was like, support the troops. And it's like, sure, but how'd you get that from this? So for all of her comments to be like, girl, that's a body, I think you should listen. Yeah. She made another TikTok where she was like, another really weird thing that happened was that my stepson was like going to bed and he went to plug in his phone. And when he woke up in the morning, instead of the phone being on 100%, it was on 3%. And you know how ghosts can suck up energy? I'm like, no, we're past this. We're past this. It's a body. It's a body. And once again, she was doing that white woman thing, trying to not make a big deal because, guys, I don't think it's a body. She says, I don't think that it's a body. I'm like, you think it's a ghost. It being a body helps your thing too. Every ghost used to have a body. Why are you acting like we're the dumb ones? And so then she makes another TikTok where she's like, okay, y'all, I called the police. And it's funny because she describes like calling the police and stuff. And when she called the police and told them the situation, I was digging in my yard and I was trying to move this fence. I hit the rug, whatever, and the rug's very thick. We can't just, because that's the other thing. She can't just pull it up. It's so heavy that it's like, it's down there. She would have to dig more to even expose more rug to even try to pull it up. And she tells the police that, and the police are like, that's not like a body. And so the police come out, right? And I am not a cop. I don't know how police work actually works. I don't know what procedure is or anything. All I know is what I saw in the video, because she was also making a TikTok out of the police coming and checking out the hole. And the police, when they got there, I don't know what exactly they were doing, but they were doing that thing where, you know, like when they have their hands in their vest? And so there was one cop that walked up and he was like, that might be a body. So police look it over, because cops came twice, right? Police look it over. Then, part is fuzzy. I don't know what actually happened linking these two things. I don't know if the police said this to her before they left, or if they called later and told her this, but basically they were like, look, it's a hole. I get that you're invested and that it's the rug, but we don't have the resources to just like do some big dig in your backyard for a case that's like not an open case or anything. There's not like some missing person or something. So we just, if you want to dig, if you want to dig and then call us if you find something, you can, but like, we're not gonna. And I mean, look, in this case, it was just the rug. It's not like a foot was hanging out or something, you know what I mean? And so then that was sort of that. And so she makes another TikTok where she talks to people and she's like, hey, listen, I know that y'all are all invested. I know that this is weird, but I don't have the money to just dig up my whole backyard just to try to find out what this is. Because in the case that it's nothing, I dug up my whole backyard and then I have to pay to, because it was also like going in the direction of her fire pit too, which means she would have had to pull up all that stuff. So she was like, I don't know. I don't know where this sort of leaves us, right? And she makes another TikTok not too long after that. Because what has happened through social is that we're all talking. We're all talking. We're all, like, listening's a strong word, but we're all talking. All right? But you gain the interest, and you can intrigue people from all over the world, right? And so as people are getting more and more invested in this thing, she makes another TikTok a little while later where basically someone was watching her last TikTok about how, yeah, she didn't have the money to just dig up her whole yard and everything. And so then they messaged her and they were like, hey, I own a construction company. I'll dig. I will not be left on a cliffhanger, all right? Digging is what I do. And so then, the next TikTok is her basically being like, hey, this person with this construction company said that they would come over and dig and help me figure it out and everything. So go ahead and tune back in, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm gonna go live and we'll find out together. This is what's really jarring about that, right? Is that TV used to be TV. You used to get your entertainment from TV, and TV was a thing. You used to buy the TV and know that all the TV would happen on TV. But now, slowly, over time, we're TV. Whether we mean to be or not. There's plenty of people who have realized they were TV in real time and been like, I messed up. I did not want to be TV today. TV used to, we're spoiled. We're used to 24-hour news. We're used to 24-hour programming, even pay programming. When a channel runs out of TV ideas, they're like, well, we'll let this person try to sell you something for 3 hours. You know what I mean? TV used to just have a few channels, too. TV used to have like 5 channels. And they didn't even have a lot of ideas. The TV would be like, guys, we're done. TV, you would have your TV on, but TV would be off. Because they just didn't have any more programs. They were like, you know what it is. We'll see you at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Go to bed. What are you doing up? Why are you still up right now? You have a problem. You need to see somebody, a doctor maybe. You probably have insomnia because you have left this TV on all night knowing that the Dick Cavett show only goes so late. And I didn't know about any of this. My grandpa was telling me, you know what I mean? But like, he was like, yeah, you used to, that used to be how you knew you had a sleeping problem. And now, she's opened herself up to the fact that, like, this incident has made her TV. She even said, tune in at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. I was like, you gonna have commercials too? Damn. And then soon after that, she makes another TikTok where she's like, okay, all right. So I got a call, construction company calls, but I got another call from homicide. And a part of me was like, duh, it's a body. But she's like, I got a call from homicide that basically they said that they don't know who the last 2 officers were communicating with because it wasn't them. They must have talked to somebody else who told them to tell me what they told me. Homicide heard about the case and they were like, we would very much like to check. That's like our whole job, to check if that's a body. And so we're gonna come tomorrow and they basically tell her, they're like, hey, if we find something, this will turn your house upside down. Are you prepared for that? And she was like, yeah, I want to get to the bottom of this thing. It's been like on my mind and, we're not just curious. It's like, this could potentially be terrifying, And so they're like, okay. And if we don't find anything, then you're free to let the construction company dig and just see, like, get to the bottom of what maybe is dinosaur bones. Who knows, right? So the next day comes, and she says in the TikTok, she's like, look, so still tune in at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, but I don't know what you're going to be watching. So sure enough, homicide comes. They bring the detectives. They also bring the cadaver dogs, right? And both cadaver dogs signal at the spot in the rug, right? And they even did in different ways, because I don't really know, I don't know much about cadaver dogs. All I know is that the first dog, he seemed a bit junior. Do you know what I mean? That first dog was just a little too happy-go-lucky. You know what I mean? Like he really showed up and was like, oh, what a beautiful day. It's wonderful just be in a yard and be able to run around, stretch your legs, and hang out with your friends and stuff. Oh! Y'all, this is just my opinion. I think that's a body. Second dog comes out, must have been more senior dog. They must bring two just to make triple sure, you know what I mean? Because second dog comes out much calmer, at least to me. Just, had more of a dignified gait to his walk. Walking around. Yep, that's a body. Ooh, y'all, come get me. That's a body. And it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough to be like a police dog because you don't know you have a job. Think about a police dog, just a dog. They think they're chilling. They think their life is normal. They only have like wild reactions once in a while, you know? Like I wonder what it would be like to take a police dog to like just the dog park. Have him converse with other dogs and stuff. Running around. That house dog is like, hey, how you doing? Looking good, you know. I love a pup in uniform. Oh, this? Oh, yeah. I wear it all the time. That was, you know, you come to this park often. Oh, yeah, every day. Every day, me and my pal come here, and then, you know, he lets me run around, and then we walk home, and then he feeds me treats, and I take a nap, and the police dog's like, nap? What's that? Oh, you know, when you just get tired and you fall asleep whenever you want. And it's like, okay, must be nice. You know, and you said your owner gives you treats. What kind of treats? House dog's like, oh, all the treats. It's incredible. I get like the beef treats and the chicken treats. I go crazy for the tuna treats. I try to play it cool, but I can't. They're too good. You know, sometimes I'll play hard to get, but then I'm a sucker for the tuna treats. Do you get treats? And police dog's like, yeah, I get treats all the time. What kind of treats do you get? Police dog's like, mostly cocaine. You know, because I'm one of the dogs that they have sniff for the cocaine, and so I'm running all in the house checking for the cocaine. I usually get there first, and so you know, sometimes I take a little off the top, you know what I mean? A couple of extra sniffs. You know, it's gotta be wild. It's gotta be wild to think as a police dog, you're just going for a walk. And they're like, smell this. Oh, okay. See what else smells like this out here. You're like, oh, all right. You just on nice stride, you know, running with your pal, and then out of nowhere you're like, something over here smells like, oh my gosh, that's a body. So both the cadaver dogs signal, right? And when they signal, she's like, oh my gosh, she's really taken it back. And I think that's also the first time that this becomes like real, because I think, I can't say what was going on in her head, but I can imagine that like at the time you're just kind of going through the motions and having your own little true crime thing. But then when there's really something there and it becomes real, like, oh, this is terrible. This is terrifying. And then the police even come over and they're like, hey, you might want to stop recording. And so she makes another TikTok hours later where she's like, hey, I'm sorry I left y'all on a cliffhanger. Police were like, hey, maybe you want to stop recording. So I stopped recording and everything. But there's just people all over my house and stuff. And it was just like, I think it was all hitting her at once. And it must have been overwhelming, And she's even saying to the camera, she's like, and the police, they appreciate the fact that I'm the one that called them and stuff like that. So it's not like they're looking at me or anything. I was like, nope. Call a lawyer. 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 Call a lawyer now. Put the phone down and call a lawyer. Don't talk to me. Call a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. Stop talking to me. Call a lawyer. That's a lot to assume. That's a lot to assume. Hey, guys, I just found this body. Like, I have nothing to do with it. And it's got to be tough. Like, I really did try to put myself in her shoes. It's got to be horrific to find something like that, what it might be, all that stuff. I think about what any of us might do. You know what I mean? Maybe not make a TikTok about it, but like what any of us might do. Like, I think about what I would do. I'm a homeowner. I'm moving my fence, and then hit this rug. A rug, by the way, that had a tree planted on top of it. I think about what I would do, right? As Josh, and even more importantly, maybe, as like a black dude in America. I'm not gonna lie, I think I'd be like, yeah. I didn't kill him. So then they like properly excavate and they do a whole dig, and it turns out it's not a body. Isn't it weird to be disappointed? Isn't it kind of weird to be disappointed that somebody's not dead? It's not a body at all. It was a rug that had a tree planted over it that was buried, which, I'm not gonna lie, is way weirder. That's so much more jarring now. There's so many more questions I have now. We understand, it's not right, but we understand how people get got. Like, we kind of, like, there's a part of you, maybe you're in the mob or something like that, but this thing is way weirder. That means that your house was previously owned by a freak. That just means that there was someone that owned your house that was burying rugs and planting trees on top. What else were they doing? Licking banisters? What goes through the mind of somebody who buried? What kind of witchcraft is that? I want answers. She gonna be retiling her roof years from now, and there's gonna be a piece of bologna under every tile. What kind of cartoon house is this?
How do you balance weekly stand-up and a daily show?
I work at Daily Show Monday through Thursday, and then we go on the road Friday, Saturday, and sometimes Sunday. And so I know that it's a lot, but it's also everything I've been trying to do this entire time. Like, these are all the things that I've ever wanted to be doing, and they just happen to be happening at once. Another thing that really gives me energy, I guess, is the people that I'm around. I get to be around the coolest people that I've ever worked with at Daily Show that are constantly, like, whether it's hyping you up or you're able to bounce ideas off of them, and their enthusiasm and the way that they bring like their specific talents to the show always make me excited to be a part of it. And then the rest is just doing stand up on the road, which is just meeting all of you and, doing the meet and greets when we can and stuff. And those are real opportunities to get a second to chat, even if it is just a moment where, I understand, especially a late show, people are tired and they want to take the picture and go home and stuff. I'm never like thinking about it some type of way. I guess I'm more just so excited to meet the people who enjoy what I'm doing, because sometimes you are creating these things online and it's very easy to see a number of likes or a little ticker go up. And while those things carry their own sort of excitement of like, oh, that's cool that people are watching, it's not until you meet the people that are watching that you get a real sense of what's going on. And so I don't know, if I'm being honest, if I've thought about balance yet or anything. I sneak in my naps when I can, and one day I will find time to sleep. But sometimes I will say I don't realize I'm asleep. I have definitely woken up and not been sure when I was sleeping. So I guess I get enough sleep.
How do you take care of your mental health?
I think I do lots of stuff. To me, I think you're constantly bombarded all the time with stimulus and with media. And I think that even though most of it is negative, the positive stuff there, whenever you open yourself up to it or whenever you focus on it, is just as overwhelming sometimes. There are a lot of people out there talking about the good things happening in the world. And if you engage with that stuff as much as you engage with like mainstream news and being up to date on the latest horrible thing that's happening in every country, I think you can find the balance that's actually happening. Because it's true, all these things are happening at the same time. And I don't know, I think that centers me sometimes, that like as many bad things as there are that are happening, there are so many instances of us seeing like the good in people and the good in the world and stuff. And so that helps me take care of myself. I have people that I will sometimes message if I'm having a rough time, for any number of reasons, just having those people really help. I think that therapy as well, depending on your version of it and what you found helps you the most, I guess depends on how often you lean on it. And so, yeah, I think therapy, I think engaging in as much positive media as I can. And I think, looking up specifically for news stories where something good is happening help me take care of myself.
Why are your tickets $400?
They are not. They're not. I cannot say this enough how much they are not. And because of how social works as well, no matter how many times you post that they're not, it may not reach the people who saw the thing. You know what I mean? Like we're all just missing each other because they're not at all. One of the reasons that you might see $400 tickets to my show are resellers. So I am trying to make sure everybody can come to the show. I'm trying to make sure that all the tickets are affordable, right? But if someone buys up a bunch of tickets and then they go to the secondary market and they wait until the show is sold out and then they try to sell it to people who want to come to the show but missed it, they're going to charge whatever they think they can get, right? So while it's $400 in this economy, $400. I am not asking that of anybody. $400 is too much money, okay? I can't sing. Yeah, I mean, like we're not talking about tickets to like somebody who can do backflips or something like that. Resellers are charging these astronomical prices, which is why I tell people to join my email list. If you join my email list, I will let you know when I add shows. I'll also let you know when shows are happening. You'll also get access to pre-sale in some of the markets because we try to email everyone out. There's a whole thing that I'm learning about how like venue have pre-sale tickets and days, and everybody has a certain amount of tickets that they're allowed and stuff like that. But as soon as we can go to you with the ticket, we try to go straight to you. So that way the email is coming from me, and then you can get the ticket at its intended price, and we completely cut resellers out of it. Sometimes I even lose words for how best to describe how bad of a thing this reselling is, because it cheats you out of money, and it cheats a lot of people out of an experience, you know? Because let's just, for the sake of argument, say the reseller buys my ticket and they're charging $2,000. And then people are like, Josh, love you, nice little quips, nice little witty jokes online, but $2,000, no. Now, somebody who was willing to pay the like $35, $45 that I was charging for the show doesn't get to come. And then this reseller is blocking people from having a good time at the show, you know? So my tickets are not $400. If you see that, you know, not only don't you buy it, but also feel free to warn other people, hey, this thing is not real, you know? So hopefully I've spoken about it well. Hopefully.
Where is your hour-long Netflix special?
It doesn't exist, but I think maybe it could one day. We'll see. The reason I do stand-up is to connect with the people that I'm doing stand-up for. And that's been happening through social, through YouTube, through like live performance as well. So I feel like the connection is there, and it's getting stronger, and it's growing. And so I don't concern myself as much with like, oh, when are we going to get this thing, or can we get this person on the phone or something? Because to me, all things happen as they're supposed to in the right time. And so if there is a day that comes that I have an hour-long Netflix special, then the day that comes will be the day that it comes out. Until then, I'm having a great time posting and writing as much as I can, and just sort of putting that stuff out there.
Can you go deeper into your writing/performing process?
Yeah, so I guess I don't know. I could talk about it all day. So I'll try to give like some bullet points. I think when you're writing about anything, in my experience, I think taking the things that you find funny about them and the things that you find interesting about them and believing in them are going to be ways that you connect people to the thing it is that you're talking about. Not everything is interesting, and maybe everything can't be made interesting by a specific person. But I think if there's any like gold that you actually find in something, someone else will connect with that. I think the missing connective tissue sometimes is belief in the thing that you're talking about, and it's in a full understanding of what you're trying to say. And so whenever I'm writing anything, I'm trying to make sure that I'm fully distilling the idea down enough that if you don't know me, and if you don't know what I'm like, and if you've maybe even never watched stand-up before, you'll still get what I'm trying to say. And I think that is one of the main things I look for in what I'm talking about and how long I want to talk about it. And then I think that sort of all of life informs other pieces of it. So if I may be talking about one thing that has nothing to do with any of the other topics I bring up in my mind while well, let me see, now I'm rambling. Hold on. If you choose a topic to talk about, right, it may seem incredibly isolated. It may seem like one of its kind. But because of how long humans have been around, and because we have cyclical behavior, it's not. So no matter what the thing is, there's something like it that has happened before, even if it's only in spirit. And so I think that as soon as you pick something to talk about, you can find things that are similar to that thing that maybe someone might not understand thing A that you're talking about, but they've experienced thing B. And if thing B is a universal enough experience and you link it back to A, then I think that you can in turn at least give people the option of seeing what you're trying to say. And that's just one way to do it. I think that the other way is like take the thing that is your topic that's most important to you and breaking it down on every level. At some point with those layers, people will start to see what you mean. Whether or not they agree is like completely up to them. And luckily for stand-up, you don't really need anyone to agree with you. You just need them to be enjoying what you're saying and find it funny. Some things that we find funny are because of agreement, and some things that we find funny is because of the absurdity of it and how much we disagree. And so I think that in those ways, you don't really need to have the way a lawyer does an iron tight argument. You more just need to have all of your points built out and know exactly what you're trying to convey. And then that will be the link between you and the people that you're sharing with. I think that, yeah. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. I look forward to seeing you on the road when I come to your city. Make sure to join the email list. It's at joshjohnsoncomedy.com. And I look forward to making more videos for you in the future. You know, I really love what I'm doing right now, and you're part of why I love it so much. Yeah. Till next week. So when I swing my legs, are you getting that? No. Oh, you're not? Okay. That would be my undoing, because they are nowhere near. And it's like, it's hard to take a man seriously when they're swinging like this, because it's a natural thing. Like if they were on the ground, they would be planted enough that it wouldn't be a big deal. But because they're so free, because my knees are really off the edge, there is a dangle that's not only a bit dainty, it's a bit whimsical too. It's not the right vibe to try to be.
The shoes are also Velcro too, so that...
Yeah, okay. These actually aren't my normal shoes. I wore these because I lost my shoes. And so I'm still looking for my real shoes. But then until then, I have these on, and everyone has been looking at me like I need help. I have not encountered anybody in a store or on the street that has seen my shoes and not been, let's just say, extra nice to me. Dangling in Velcro shoes, it's not the look for a grown man. You know what I mean? Like, this is, when I tell you, I'm positive that this is like a walking ick. Yeah, like this is bad. So I was also not happy about it, because I literally asked my girlfriend, hey, do you know where my shoes are? Which is one of the most insane questions you can hit a person with, because your shoes should have been left by you somewhere nearby. But I did not know where my shoes were, and I haven't worn these in maybe a year. I don't even know where they came from. I really don't. Like, maybe I bought them, but I feel like they were a gift, and not just a gift, but like a re-gift. Like, I think they were given to someone my size, and then that person was like, nah, I can't keep these in the house. It's better than not having shoes. I'm grateful to have more than one pair of shoes, but I'm also praying I find my real shoes soon, because, ugh.
The main shoes, they're what, on?
On clouds, yeah.
When are you going to get an endorsement? I mean, you have those on every show, every stage, all over the country.
That's up to On Cloud. I wear them because they're comfortable. But an endorsement would be nice. That would definitely buy some more On Clouds. Yeah, they might as well endorse me. I would just give the money back to them almost immediately in On Clouds.
Give it up right now for the one and only Josh Johnson!
I reflected a lot, and I came up with a lot of New Year's resolutions this year. I don't normally do it. I almost never do New Year's resolutions, but this year I had
Kind of a bunch, because it just so happened I was really thinking about myself and life when the time came. And the problem with New Year's resolutions, the reason that they're so hard to keep, is that a year is a year long. If you could make a New Year's resolution and really only had to do it for like 3 weeks, you'd knock it out of the park. But there's something about the 5th Monday where you're like, again? No. And I think we should all cut ourselves some slack, genuinely, when you have trouble making your New Year's resolution a habit or sticking to it, because New Year's resolutions are as old as calendars. So as long as we've been keeping track, we've been trying to be better and failing. It's very human. And our New Year's resolutions, by and large, are things that we're gonna do or stop doing to stop hurting ourselves. If you read through history and you go back to the New Year's resolutions of whole civilizations, right? The Babylonians, the Romans, these people would have ceremonies, and usually a lot of what they did, a lot of their New Year's resolutions, was to appease their gods or the tribe at large. It wasn't just about them. And all of our New Year's resolutions, for the most part, are things we're going to stop doing or start doing to stop hurting ourselves. They had New Year's resolutions to stop hurting other people. You read back in history, there were just New Year's resolutions of whole tribes that were like, this year, y'all, we not gonna pillage. We were doing too much last year. We were pillaging over here. Not everything needed to be pillaged. We need to start focusing on us, all right? Even probably had a tribe leader came up with a slogan, we not gonna pillage, we gonna be a village. No, it's as old as time. And admittedly, there are some modern New Year's resolutions. I do know a few people in my life that have had to make New Year's resolutions to stop hurting other people. You know, it's rare, but it does happen. Like I had one friend nonchalantly said, you know what, this year, I'm gonna cut less people. First of all, I didn't know she was cutting anybody. Second, your New Year's resolution is day one. Your New Year's resolution is to cut less. You didn't say none. None was an option. The year hasn't happened yet. You haven't even met who will be worth cutting, and you're still like, I might maybe give them a pass. Said, I'm gonna cut less people, and I was like, what do you mean cut less people? They were like, oh, you know how it is. I hate being asked or told if or that I know how something is when I clearly have no idea how it is. Oh, you know how it is. You go out and somebody press you, and next thing you know, you holding the blade on you. It's like, what life do you think I'm leading? What life are you leading? When are you doing this? I had a couple of New Year's resolutions. One of them was to focus on my health, which I'm already regretting. Genuinely, because this is my thing. When you try to focus on your health in the beginning of the year, you really think you're gonna do it. And that's why I'm making a New Year's resolution. If you tell me what I'm doing wrong, if you tell me what's wrong with me, in like September, I'm probably gonna be like, then I'll die. Sorry. I like doing that. But if we're starting a new year and you're like, don't do that, I'll be like, okay, I'll try, right? No, but the problem is when you focus on your health, you have to go to the doctor. And going to the doctor is a little bit too exact and final for me. If something's wrong with me and I'm telling a friend about it and we're just sort of going back and forth spitballing about what it could be, it's almost kind of fun. You're like, maybe it's that. Oh, maybe it's that. Let's Google it. Oh, we shouldn't have Googled it. You know what I mean? But when you go to a doctor, the doctor's like, no, you sick. No. basically, I had to go to the doctor pretty early because, all right, it's embarrassing to admit, but I feel like if I'm open, if I'm vulnerable about it, then it'll hopefully remove some of the stigma. Okay, I had to go to the doctor because too many, I would even say most of my farts were whistling. Okay, all right. So if you're going through what I'm going through and you hear that laughter, that's why I'm doing this, to try to break through, try to show the normalcy of what was happening to me. So basically, when I would fart, I don't even fart all the time, but every once in a while, you know, one goes, and it was just having at the tail end, very tail end, it was having just a little like to it. I didn't know where it was coming from. I didn't know why it was happening, but I was hearing it. And I'm not like a musician in that way. I don't know a lot of music theory, but it did seem like a bit of a D sharp to it. Like it had a little bit of that fire alarm, that a little bit of that at the very end, right? And so one day I was walking and I don't even remember the food that I had, but it hit me in the wrong way. And so I sounded like a piccolo. I was walking and my steps were just a little fluty. And I don't know about y'all, but sometimes I walk and listen to music. So I'll have my big old headphones on, they're noise canceling, so I can really enjoy the music and everything. And I knew I had a problem because the cut through it was so high of a pitch, it must have got under the noise canceler. And so I was just walking, and I don't know, once again, about you, but when I'm wearing my headphones, I'm listening to music, and I'm walking, it feels like I can fart however loud I want because I can't hear it, so then it must not be that bad. I know that's not actually how sound works, but it's just kind of what goes through my head while I'm doing it. And I was walking, I just heard a sort of like, do you remember? And I was like, uh-oh, I should probably talk to somebody. And so I did. I went to the doctor, and when I got to the doctor, I had a bit of an issue because I even tried to use as many big words as I could to describe what was happening to lessen the blow of what I had to say. So I was like, my flatulence is having some orchestral notes to it. And the doctor was like, what? And I'm like, don't do that. One of the main reasons I hate going to the doctor is because if you're a doctor, and especially if you're older than me and you're a doctor, I'm assuming you've been a doctor for a while, right? And if you've been a doctor for a while, then I'm assuming you've seen a lot of stuff. But somehow when I go to the doctor and I tell them my problem, they've never heard of it before. You got all these encyclopedias in here with all these diagrams of people's bodies and stuff, but then I tell you what I'm having, you're like, what? And then I just made it simple. I was like, look, my farts are whistling. He was like, what? And I was like, that's worse. What happened to bedside manner? And so, you know, he fixed it. I'm fine now. It doesn't happen anymore. But yeah, basically there was something going on where I had pretty much like overexerted myself, and he explained it better, but I guess my organs were kind of like a Tom and Jerry configuration, and it was just making me whistle at the very end, and then it went back to normal. My second New Year's resolution was to be very mindful about what I do and say on a podcast. Now, I'm not perfect, but this has been the downfall of a lot of people. I'm not even saying that there's never gonna be a podcast where I talk out of pocket. I don't know. It's just talking. And it's so much talking that along the way, you say something dumb or something that doesn't age well or something that you don't even really think, maybe just talking, right? You get anybody to talk for hours and hours and hours, and eventually they'll say something pretty dumb. So I'm trying to be mindful about what I do and say on a podcast, because when podcasts started, before there was a ton of money in it, it was just one of two things. It was either people who had such a great rapport with each other that listening to them felt like listening with them, like being there with them and just having a party with your friends, and it was an interesting conversation that you felt like you were a part of, right? Or there was a very interesting person, an incredibly interesting person, and then someone had them on their podcast who was a good interviewer, and through giving a good interview, they pulled all of these interesting and beautiful things out of this very interesting person and then gave it to you. And so you either got some sort of education from it or you got some sort of community from it, right? And now podcasts, I think we made too many microphones. Because now it's a genuine mess. You know? Like, I watched what I think was maybe one of the most important podcast clips of all time. One that exactly, perfectly describes what I'm kind of talking about. Mike D has a podcast, and in that podcast, he was talking to OG Tulo, a rapper. And while he was talking to him, OG Tulo reaches into his pocket and somehow shoots himself in the leg. I'm encouraging everyone to watch this clip because it's truly one of the most important moments in podcasting ever. I had so many questions when I saw this man shoot himself in the leg. First of all, what gun is little enough? But also, what pocket is big enough? Because you can't see a gun. He's literally got his hand in his pocket, which means there's a gun and his hand in his pocket. How deep are these pockets? They're like optical illusions. This man reaches into his pocket, and I want to be clear here, okay? OG Tulo and Mike D, they weren't having some sort of argument. Mike D wasn't coming at him. It's not like he was reaching in his pocket to grab his gun. If anything, it looked like he was reaching in his pocket for something else. And can I just say, don't put your gun in your pocket. But if you do, make sure your gun is the only thing in that pocket. Please do not put your gun and your keys in your pocket. I'm begging you not to put your gun and your phone in your pocket. Because this man looks like he's trying to move the gun. When you rewatch it, I've watched it 2,000 times. It looked like he's trying to move the gun out the way to get something else. And I'm telling you, it's not worth it to have your gun and your gum in the same pocket. This dude reaches into his pocket. Bam! And then Mike D, who's sitting across from him, Mike D goes, "Who shot who?" They're facing each other. He turns to the cameras out there where the people are, who I guess are producing the podcast. And he turns to them and goes, "Who shot who?" Somebody got shot? Sir, how often are people shooting each other at your studio for the first question to be, "Who shot who?" He didn't say who shot who as in like, "Oh no, a gun went off." He turned as if to say, "Y'all, we are trying to do something." This man turns, "Who shot who?" Somebody got shot? When you look for the clip, OG Tulo, now that's O, letter O, G, letter G, or capital letters, the number 2, like an email, OG too low, right? OG too low is fascinating to me because there are a lot of rappers who their name is not, it's not true to who they are as a person, right? But to his credit, OG too low shoots himself in the leg and only goes, his reaction to shooting himself in the leg, all he does is go, ooh. This man doesn't cry, he doesn't freak out, he just makes the face you make when you drop a casserole, just, ooh. You know the face you make when you get caught coming home after curfew, you in the dark, you think you made it, then the lights come on and you're like, ooh. He makes the face you make when there's like 2 people arguing out in the world and you don't know either one, but then one of them is like, that's why I took your man, ooh. This man simply goes, ooh. And then a person behind the camera calls out and goes, Lo, you good? There are a few things I hate more than being asked if I'm good when I should not be good. When I'm clearly, people wait till you hurt to ask if you're okay. And I understand the reflex question, but you just saw something very bad happen. You saw a man reach in his pocket where he clearly forgot he had a gun. And then shoot himself in the leg, and now you go, Lo, you good? And OG too low. Simply says, I think. And so I'm trying to be more mindful about what podcasts I do and what I do on them, because I've seen how bad it can go. Another thing, another New Year's resolution I had was to take better pictures of my male friends. Okay? As men, we gotta start taking better pictures. This is rough. We wonder why it's a struggle out here, but I'm telling you, I know good men. Not just decent men, I'm talking about good, wholesome men. Father figures in men. Father material, marriage material men who are out here taking pictures forehead first. I'm talking about forehead presented, forehead shiny, optical illusion, forehead forward. I don't even know how you get that angle. Did you put the camera on your head? You know, because that's what happens. As a man, you don't get that many good pictures taken of you by other dudes. You know? And then you post it because it's one of the only good pictures you have. You want to go on a dating site, you want to meet people, you go ahead and you post the pictures you have of yourself because what you have is what you have. And then you put that out into the world and you wonder why there aren't many bites. There aren't a ton of bites because when people are scrolling through your pictures, you look blurry. You look like if they met you, you would only be a memory, you know? You know what I'm talking about? You know that wave look when it's like, it's almost a good picture, but there's that movement at the end, so you're a little blurry on one side. Will she be dating a ghost? Who knows? We've got to start taking better pictures of each other's men. And I know it's hard. I know it feels weird to like because women are so good at doing it for each other. They'll take incredible pictures of each other. It won't even be picture day. It'll just be some good lighting in a random place. And they'll be like, hold up, stop. Let me get you. No. Pose, quick. Yep, see, this is good. You know? It's tough. We don't try enough. We don't try. Even if you muster up the courage as a man to know that you look good that day, and you ask your boy to take a picture of you, as men, we get too uncomfortable trying to make each other look good. Like you're scared to try to make your boy look hot. Even if you're looking good, bona fide, looking good, anybody can see it. You're dressed well, shaved, everything, right? And then you hand the phone to your boy. He's like, got it. That's not helpful. You didn't get it. You didn't get it. That's why when I post the picture, I look like smoke. Because you were so uncomfortable, you couldn't stop, let the phone rest for a sec. The phone didn't even get to adjust. Do you know the technology we have in our pockets? And the phone was like, I didn't get that at all. Women will do anything to take a good picture of their friend, especially when the friendship is mixed. Like when you're out with your male, female friends, and you're just walking, going to a restaurant, whatever, and then there's a moment where it's like, hey, this is good lighting, stop, let me take a picture of you. I've seen work put in. Because they love their friend. The things I've seen, it's not just one of these. I've seen women get angles for each other. Angles that it never occurred to me to get. The way that I've seen women work their knees backwards. No, you be still. I'm good. You be still. That's it right there. That's it. No. Men take such bad pictures of ourselves and have such bad pictures of us taken. I'm pretty sure that's why nobody looks for us when we go missing. Be honest right now. If there is a man that goes missing, if they even put his picture on the local news, it's the worst picture of him if it's not a picture from high school. If it's not his high school picture with that bow tie or whatever, it's just him being like... And then you see the picture and you're like, I think he did it. I think he kidnapped him. That's what happened. I solved it. We don't need to look. That's why when you put a woman's picture on the national news, it's any picture. It's just a picture of her that's recent. And people are like, find her! Because it's a good picture. Another New Year's resolution that I made was to start making, how do I put this? I want to start having manlier mannerisms. The entire time I've been alive, I've just been moving the way I move because it's what feels natural to me in the moment, but I'm seeing every once in a while there'll be someone that comes into my life that shows me that actually, maybe not this way. When I was young, I was working this job, and there was a dude on the job who was he was in prison, and he was on work release. And he took me under his wing and was trying to teach me how to be more of a man. I didn't ask him to, but I also didn't really know how to take up for myself, so... I would do little things, and he would try to correct those things for me, right? And I remember one time I walked in the room, and it was pretty stinky. And because it was stinky, I tried to waft, in front of my face, like waft, like you would when it stinks. You're like, ooh, it's stinky, right? You know what I mean? Like, you've done this. Don't act like it was stinky, right? But the way I did it, my hands were too fluid when I was... Because it was sticking, but I felt like this was more efficient to get it out of my face. I was like whipping it out of the way, right? And he saw me and he was like, stop doing that. And I'm like, what? Why? And he's like, your hand looked like a whisper, dog. One time he tried to, dap me up, but he had big hands. And so when he did it, I'm not gonna lie, it hurt. And so I pulled my hand back, and I pulled my hand back like, and he was like, don't do that. I'm like, what should I do then? He's like, I don't know, but not that. The worst one was, people talk about fight or flight, and people often don't talk about freeze, which is what I did in this particular situation. This dude had been on work release, right? And some dudes who he must have got into it with before he went to jail found out where he worked. They waited for him to take a smoke break, and they tried to jump him. Now, initially, when they tried to jump him, they were just pressing him outside, talking. I don't know if he owed them money. I don't know what the situation was. All I know is I'm walking out with the trash, and then they swing on this dude, all right? And then he, by himself, fights off both of these dudes. And he's not really losing or winning, but he'll take one to give one, and then he'll get one good enough that they back up a bit so he can focus on the other one and then go back to this guy and everything. But then at one point, my man, he gets clipped. He gets clipped by one of these dudes, right? And they have him with an uppercut, and he goes backwards. And I'm not proud of it, but it was my genuine reaction. When he got hit, I did go. Because apparently I touch my cheeks when I gasp. I didn't know that about me either, but nothing had happened to make me gasp in a long time. So when it happened, I was like, oh. And people look at you different. When you do like a full Macaulay Culkin, when you hit them with the Macaulay, Another one of my New Year's resolutions is to take a break from Facebook Marketplace. This is my thing. It's not even that I'm buying a lot, it's just everyone that I seem to buy off of on Facebook Marketplace is I'm never meeting them at a good point in their life. Right? So when I meet them, there's a whole energy to it that doesn't feel like just regular commerce. As an example, I went over one time, I needed a bed frame, so I went to purchase the bed frame. Facebook Marketplace, I show up, right? I've already paid, and I show up to pick up the bed frame, and it's not as if I came there to make a friend. I wasn't trying to sit down and have tea or something like that. I really was there to pick up the bed frame and be out. But the way I was being rushed the entire time was making this start to feel like some stolen goods. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, all right, so can I help you put it somewhere? Do you have a truck or do you have something? I was like, oh, okay, all right, calm down, right? And then while taking the bed frame, there's a piece missing. And so then they go to get this piece. And when they go to get the piece, there's a truck that pulls up. And then when they walk back out, they're like, oh no. And then this guy gets out of the truck and he's like, Amy, why? why? And I'm just here for the bed frame. He's like, Amy, why? And she's like, I told you why. I'm done with you. I'm done. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of everything that you do. I've given you so many chances. And now she is yelling over my shoulder. Like I'm here. I'm where I am now. She's right here yelling at him who's behind me going, why? So I am kind of like this child of divorce in this moment. He's like, why? I told you why. No, but why, Amy? Is it him? And I can honestly tell you right now, it didn't look like it would be me, because when he said, is it him? I went, huh? And then she went, what? No. She didn't have that. Now I'm looking at both of them like, huh? And they clearly had some stuff to work out, and I was very uncomfortable. I couldn't get the peace because she was still looking forward. He was crying, so I left the bed frame. There was another time where I was going to buy a teddy bear. I had someone that I was trying to get the teddy bear for because they like novelty teddy bears. I was trying to do something a little sweet and everything. And I go there to pick up the teddy bear. And not everybody posts the dimensions of the item that you're buying. But when I get there, the teddy bear, my size, right? So way bigger than I was expecting. The teddy bear is like a 5-foot-something teddy bear. And this particular teddy bear, which was apparently like novelty because it was made like handmade and everything, from behind, the teddy bear had a lot of ass. Like a twerkable amount of ass. Like it was cheeky. And so, you know, I'm trying to pick it up and it weighs a man. And so I was like, okay, maybe not. Because now even if I give this as a gift, 1, it's too big, and 2, I'm gonna have to explain what's happening back here. I went to buy a fridge one time, and I get there and I'm talking to this guy about the fridge, like where I should go get it, and he's looking at me confused. And he's standing right outside of the address that I was given, and he sounded all confused, and then he tells me he's there to buy a fridge. And then homeboy opens the door and basically invited us both to go ahead and haggle in person over the fridge. I was like, that's insane. We had a price. We had a price that we agreed on, and the other guy was like 55. And I was like, you're not helping our case at all. Not a good negotiator. I went to buy a couch. This should have been plain and simple. You're moving, I need a couch, you need to get rid of a couch, we're done. I show up, even had the truck ready because I've known from before, you gotta have the getaway vehicle in tow. And sure enough, pull up, you know, we're carrying out the couch in pieces, cushions first, also like that, trying to get the couch lifted up out the door and stuff. And this man who is selling the couch keeps trying to upsell me on dolls that he made himself. And you can tell. He made these like knockoff porcelain Cabbage Patch dolls that already freaking look at to begin with. They already look at you, no matter where you are in the room, they got eyes on you. And then he made it so he stuffed him a little bit and then he put a button on it. And when you put the button on it, it was supposed to cry. Like, you know, the way that you buy the toys. Wham! Okay, hold the baby, right. Except he must have recorded the cry. Because this doll's cry was haunting. You press the button on this doll to cry because he did it. No one asked him to. Trying to upsell us on these dolls while we trying to lift a couch that is apparently made out of lead because we cannot get it up. Meanwhile, he not helping, presses the button on the doll, and the doll, instead of a wham, wham, it gives a cry that screams 1800s horror movie. This doll presses the button, this doll goes, ah! I'm doing that because he made so the mouth open. I was so genuinely terrified that I left the couch. That's why I need to take a break from Facebook Marketplace because I don't really leave with my items. I don't really...
Mira.